heard there was trouble. Why'd you bring us here?
Welcome to NocBro Nation.
What's going on, guys? I'm Jarrell.
And I'm Josh, and today we're here to review Episode 2 of The Walking Dead, Season 9, The Bridge.
The Bridge. And yes, this had a lot to do with the bridge.
It did, and it was probably... I loved this episode. I really did, especially the opening of the episode.
This episode, so spoilers, if you haven't caught up on the season yet or haven't watched this episode, make sure you go watch it, then come back. Also, not really spoilers on the comics. There wasn't really a lot of detail that happened in the comics, like it was in the premiere, but there's some spoilers on this of kind of some things that we kind of I picked up on anyway. Yeah. Pretty much the episode is Rick talking to Negan in his cell and telling him about his day. And it's been about, 35 days for the project of the bridge right now.
Yeah.
It's been going on 35 days now.
Yeah, and Rick kind of explains to him that, look, it's been a while since we've had one of these talks. I don't expect you to talk because you don't talk that much.
Right.
And he kind of goes into a spiel. And the whole point of this communication to Negan was to let him know that the world is moving on and growing, and they're building something.
A lot of the dialogue we've heard in the trailer, about we're building, we're growing.
Yep,
we're making a new beginning. That's my Rick voice.
That was his kind of discussion with Negan, and I loved the opening of the episode because it's great. Rick walking through the campsite of the bridge, off to the side where they're doing the construction. They have their campsite, and he's just essentially getting orders from different people, and primarily Eugene, which was cool. I mean, it was just cool seeing Rick get all those orders, and then he walks up to this platform in the back of a bed of a truck and oversees the bridge. It's just a beautiful scene.
It was great, and I love in the campground. There's when they're going towards to work on the bridge, it has the future written on there. So the future is this way. We're rebuilding this bridge because we need to rebuild communications back and forth to get to communities easier. We saw the sign of HQ, Oceanside, Toledo, and all that. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and it was. And in back to the discussion of Negan real quick, he does mention to Negan that it was a weird day. It didn't really go the way that they planned it. And something went wrong. And that's kind of how we get into the story of what happens.
Yep. So initially from the opening, Rick is kind of walking with Eugene, and they're coming towards the bridge. And we kind of saw this in a little sneak peek. That guy, that savior guy, Justin or whatever, who we knew he was going to be a bad seed, right? Because he didn't want to paint the wall to cover it up.
He started off good.
Yeah.
There was that quick, because it's Henry who we messed up.
We messed
by the
up,
way.
yeah.
I don't know how many times we said Ben in the previous video. But Henry is, giving water to the workers there on the bridge. Everybody seems happy. And even that guy grabs the water from him saying, "Thanks, kid." But he wants more.
Yeah, it's basically they're rationing it. Yeah. So because of the supplies that didn't come immediately from Maggie because she didn't get her fuel, they don't have enough food and supplies. So he's rationing this. So you get 1 cup of water, however long. We didn't see that part, maybe every hour. Who knows? But yeah, he pushes the kid to the ground, takes the thing, starts drinking it, right? And what's interesting is other people saw this guy do this. And we see immediately, Daryl and Aaron's heads come up and they're like, what the heck just happened? Everybody continues to work, right? And then Henry trips him down, and then the one guy kind of laughs at him oh, last time I got beat up was when I was 6 years old.
Yeah, giving the other savior crap.
Right, but it doesn't, a fight starts between him and Daryl, but it gets immediately broken up when Rick, who was coming towards the bridge anyway, heard the commotion and saw it and just ran up there and stopped it immediately. But that was kind of the beginning of other issues that we're going to see. So we hear about this Horatio horde, which is a herd that they're moving. Now, I didn't understand at first what they were trying to do because Rosita was setting up a bomb to blow kind of a road that's being blocked by rocks. And until we figured out later in the episode when she made that explode, I was like, you're going to draw walkers over there, which they did.
And they were talking about it previously when Rick and Rosita were meeting. And again, it's as Rick is walking, and he's getting updates from a lot of people.
Right.
So it was just cool to see. I can't get off of that because it was so cool. He's like the commander, and people are just coming up to him at different times, giving their reports.
Right. But at the same time, they're doing not really their own thing, but they're in charge of other things. So they're just giving him a status report, but they're in charge of other things, which is great.
And Rosita pretty much tells him, look, we're ready to go. But if we blow it, they're going to turn your way. They're going to come out the bridge. Yeah.
I must have forgotten that part because I was just so into the episode.
And, Rick says, it's okay. We'll be ready.
Okay. I got you. Now I get it. So then as, Tara's sitting Overwatch, she's seeing the herd coming, and that's when Rick...
but didn't you love the conversation between the Savior and Rosita? They're building that story because I think it was a Rot. I don't know.
It was a Rot.
And a Rot's just like, do you trust me? With a gun or something like that.
A Rot was like, we should get farther back. And Rosita's like, oh, we're fine here. And I don't know if a Rot was asking her, would you trust me to detonate it at the right time? Or, to make sure you're... It's kind of like, would you trust me to make sure you're safe or everyone's safe distance before I blow it? And Rosita's kind of like, what did she say? I
forgot what she said.
It was kind of like,
I don't think she said no.
She didn't say no, she wouldn't trust her, but I don't think she even said yes. It was kind of like a middle between like, we'll see. Like, like their relationship is still kind of building.
Yeah, it was just nice to see that. There's communication, right? And sure enough, they blow.
They blow. they blow the rock formation. The walkers turn. Eventually, Tara sees them coming. She's like, they're right on time, basically. Rick is having that conversation with Alden, which is that scene where he notifies Rick that saviors have walked off. Some of them have not made it back to the sanctuary. They're missing. And some of these guys...
families and wives are warriors.
Yeah, some of these guys have families. They just wouldn't leave. They're missing. And this is where that line, Alden's like, where Rick is like, well, I'll protect them. And that's where Alden is like, you give orders and you protect them. Who does that sound like?
And they work for you.
They work for you and you protect them. Who does that sound like? So he's making reference to Negan.
But it's not
like it's not exactly like Negan. But I think Alden is just, what he's doing is he knows the situation between the survivors and the saviors are very, very, the relationship is, still building. It's like he's saying he doesn't want Rick to do so much to make it seem like he's acting like Negan to what he's, Rick's end goal is doing.
But so unfair for Alden to say that, though. You don't know him that well. And of course, we don't know that he knows him that well because we haven't been around in the whole year and a half backstory.
He's just giving the example of when he was with Negan.
You don't think the man knows that?
He doesn't know Rick Grimes.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't think that he...
Yeah. No, I get it. But I understand kind of why he said it. It just kind of like...
You're just Alden. Go back to the hilltop.
And hook up with Maggie.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, they have a system in place where as these walkers come to a certain point where Tara is, Jerry starts hitting his horn, right? So Jerry turns this horn thing and the walkers
Which is like an old school, like...
Yeah, like a...
World War II, gas
alarm,
nuke alarm.
Yeah, like alarm horn or whatever. So they turn and start going in that direction. Then they say, okay, there's one more horn that has to go to make sure that they redirect into the direction.
Yeah, otherwise that herd will go directly towards the camp.
The lumber site.
And the lumber site, yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you know? Tara continues to radio the third checkpoint numerous times, multiple times while Rick is trying to talk to Alden. Mm-hmm. And finally Rick's like, Tara, what's going on? And Tara explains, can't get there, but if we don't get a hold of that third checkpoint, the herd's coming right for the lumber site.
And unfortunately, they do. We'll just continue on with that speech. Yeah. So they reach the lumber site. Well, before that, that's where Aaron is. They are building, and now we finally realized that that's the lumber site that they're using for the bridge.
I've tried to tell you so many times.
So they're pulling the wood up on the site, and Daryl's there helping as well. And Daryl hears something, and he hears something in the background. He can actually hear walkers coming. Oh my god!
No more ninja walkers.
He kills a couple, and then he turns around. There's a horde. So Aaron this is where we get our injury of somebody gravely injured. Aaron is on the bottom pushing this log. 2 saviors or ex-saviors are on top. Once they see the horde, they just let the thing go. Aaron saves a guy's life by pushing him out of the way, but unfortunately the log lands on his left arm and he's trapped. And
that's a pretty big log. I mean, we're talking
huge,
probably a couple tons, I would assume.
Huge. So a fight ensues with killing the walkers.
Rick and crew come to save the day.
Oh, and Rick comes in with that axe, dude.
Oh, that was awesome because the way he was taking him out was just, it was amazing.
Yeah. I love the still shot from that they have where he's like kind of hunkered down, just like war, almost like war crying. It's so sick.
Yeah,
it was so awesome.
It was good. And even better, we get a like Robin Hood like type scene where he's concentrating on the rope, shoots it, and then saves the day because the trap.
Yeah, the trap.
I'm just giving you shit. I know. Goes down and kills, which was awesome, by the way. It
was amazing.
Greg Nicotero did that work. Yeah, and that was cool.
There's a thing on YouTube behind the scenes of how they did that shot. A lot they were using. I won't get into it greatly, but they did, of course, use fake logs. They made them out of, they're lightweight, but
ones that you could like lift up.
Yeah. But they did use kind of visual effects to get because they had the actors like fall, and then they used visual effects for the log smash in the face. Sure. Anyway, no, they use real logs.
So Aaron is gravely injured.
Yeah, and they finally lift the log off of his arm, and you could tell it's done. His arm, like his bones popping through.
Yeah, that was gruesome.
And as Daryl is helping him run, I mean, it's just flopping. Yeah. It was so bad.
So they take him back to the campsite, and previously, while we were getting, introduced to Rick's different orders and Rick's different check-ins from multiple people, he does check on Sadiq, who we find out is really progressing as the doctor now.
The medical officer.
So much so that he's training Enid to take on the practice.
Yep, she's kind of helping Cindy, who kind of cut her hand, doing an odd job, which she feels bad because she's like, well, I didn't want to come in because of this. It was but they're like, you don't want this to get infected. Like, come in. Like, don't do this.
She's like, would you rather have gangrene?
Exactly. Yeah. So
it's at this time that Rick tells Sadiq, hey, we need you back at Alexandria. Go ahead and head back. Now, of course, when Aaron comes gravely injured, Sadiq is gone. So here is Enid
having to refer to a book to be like, she immediately looks at it and says, we have to amputate. Immediately. She's like, that's it. We got to amputate. And Daryl at first was like, what? There's nothing you can do. Aaron, he at first he was very scared about it, but then he trusted her. He's like, do it. Daryl's getting the tourniquet ready. She's looking through the book to find out exactly where to cut properly so he won't bleed out and die.
This is interesting. So the actress who plays Enid was on Talking Dead afterwards, and she said that they actually had medical staff come in and train her on how to amputate an arm. Oh, wow. So she knows how to amputate an arm, and she even acknowledged on the show, I did it wrong. Because you're supposed to amputate above
the elbow,
and they took it off.
Under the elbow.
Yeah. And she says that she was like, well, I only know how to amputate an arm, but I don't know how to suture it together. So if I have to do that, you're going to bleed out.
Right. And she said we have to cauterize it, and she got a blowtorch. Yeah. She had a blowtorch to cauterize it. So kind of spoiler alert, comic book fans will know this. TV show fans, you may not know. We kind of got in the comics, Rick loses his arm.
Right.
Immediately after meeting the governor. His right arm? Mm-hmm. Yeah, his right arm. Pretty much close to the same, as Aaron did. So a lot of people are like, Aaron is looking a lot like New Beginnings comic book Rick because of the beard, and he loses the arm. We weren't going to see Rick losing the arm in the show. So a lot of people are like, oh, Aaron got that part. So
yeah, it's interesting because now they're going to have to CGI that the rest of the show. Yeah. So, but anyway.
But in the end, Rick does come to visit Aaron, and Aaron is he tells Rick, you have brought us into this new world. You have given me a new life in this new world.
And I'm just happy to be a part of it.
And he's so happy to be a part of it. He's happy to be alive. And he's still kicking. He's like, hell yeah, I'm still kicking. You know what I mean? I love Aaron. Yeah, absolutely love Aaron.
It was a great scene. And I'm actually watching that scene. And it's like for the first time I remembered, look, this was a guy that brought Rick to Alexandria. Like,
who got knocked out.
I completely forgot about that.
Yep.
Like, it's just he's an easy character to forget something like that. And here it is, the guy that brings Rick into this community is sitting there believing in him. Yeah. Daryl is not handling it well.
Daryl and Rick have a lot of issues.
Well, not just that, but
yeah, he's not.
Daryl goes into the camp immediately after after the incident with Aaron, and wants to know who blew the assignment on the 3rd checkpoint, and walks in immediately to the tent where Carol happens to be talking to the individual who blew that assignment.
Justin.
Yes. Yeah. The same guy that Daryl fought on the bridge.
Right. And
proceeds to beat the shit out of him.
Well, yeah, because the guy says, "Oh, my batteries were out." And Daryl's like, "What? You didn't?"
They were solar powered.
They're solar powered. Yeah, bullshit. You didn't, check on that. So they fight. Carol stops it, and and kind of Rick says to him, even earlier in the shot, he kind of tells Rick, "Look, what?" Rick says, "We're on the same side," and Daryl's like, "Really? Are we on the same side?
What side is that, Rick?
What side is that?"
I don't know. You tell me.
Because basically he's like, look, these saviors, there's like a small rebellion forming. There's something starting. These guys are just up and leaving. They're not seeing your new way of what you want to build, and they're just taking off. So why the hell do we keep helping them out if they don't want to, be cool with us?
And furthermore, I think Daryl even tells Carol, like, she tries telling him, look, this isn't the way that you need to handle these guys. And Daryl's like, no, they need to be handled a certain way.
This is how you deal with these assholes, basically.
Yeah.
This is how you deal with them.
So he just kind of hints like, this is how you need to deal with them.
Right. They're gonna act like this, then be done with them.
Yeah.
So that was absolutely crazy turn of events. We do get some bow chicka bow wow in this episode that I completely freaked out. That, like, really? These two together?
And it's not just Carol and Ezekiel.
No.
Who Carol does put on the ring the campsite, which I will, before we go into that one real quick.
Yeah.
It was nice to see Rick at night watching happen.
The crew, yeah.
And just the look on his face.
Ezekiel really wanted to make that speech.
He's like, I have a speech. No. But anyway, yes, the weird relationship.
So yes, Father Gabriel is drawing. I'm sorry, Anne is drawing a person that Father Gabriel has described to her. That turns out to be, she was asking who this person is. He eventually says it's somebody from his fellowship that he cared about. But the first
his organ player.
But the first telltale sign something was going on is Anne put her hand on his hand and started twirling her finger on his hand.
Yeah,
and I'm like
it was a sensual kind of hand grab.
That's not like, oh, hey, we're just cool and friends. That's like, I like something. And then then when he's actually on watch, he's supposed to be on watch. She because she thought at first, oh, you're an ordained minister. You're not supposed to, have, thoughts of the flesh. And he's like, I'm Episcopalian. I can do what I want. And then she immediately puts the hand on the inside thigh. She's like, it's go time.
Yeah. And they kiss. And he's like, I have to be on watch. And she goes, well, then watch. And she starts unbuckling his pants. I'm like, damn.
I was like, wow, she does not mess around.
It's interesting. It adds a different, value or aspect of the show because, it's another relationship and it's an interesting relationship. It'll be interesting to see where that goes. Is Anne serious or is Anne just wanting to fool around? Is Father Gabriel serious? So exciting to see.
But the interesting part of at the end of this is Anne is on top of the lookout and she hears a helicopter.
Yeah.
Now, when she looks at it, did you get the sense that she looked afraid?
I got the sense that she looked afraid.
She looked afraid.
I also got the sense that is she hallucinating this thing?
I don't think so. It was up high. So it was
in the distance and it was up high.
It was up high, so she heard it, but it's just, I find it interesting that she looked afraid. Like she has to know who they are, but why would you look afraid? Like, are you afraid because like they're flying over and she doesn't want the rest of the people to know her secret, because she does have secrets, and that's one thing she said to Father Gabriel. you can ask me questions, but not about my secrets.
Yeah.
You know, so it just, I don't know. It's messing with my mind why she would look afraid.
Messing with everyone's mind.
Yeah.
That damn helicopter needs to reveal what it is.
It is. It's going to save Rick Grimes' life, people. All right. So pretty much the
hilltop.
The hilltop. Very interesting. Michonne goes to the hilltop to talk to Maggie, asking for food because they need the food. Maggie is not sending it because she didn't get the fuel supply because it never reached the hilltop. And people are wondering where it is because it never got there.
At the same time, the blacksmith's wife, who I forget her name, is it Laura?
No, it's
I'm completely forgetting.
It's Earl and Tammy.
Tammy, there you go.
Yeah.
Tammy is pleading with Jesus as to, when is she going to get to see her husband, who happens to be locked up in a cell. It was a really heartbreaking scene. Because Maggie, actually opening the door to go down to the cell, which Maggie goes and visits. That wasn't Negan's cell.
They messed with us in the trailer. That was his cell.
That was his cell. Yes. And two things. One, Maggie overhears Tammy pleading to Jesus to let her see her husband.
No, that was Michonne.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Michonne. And then Michonne talks to Jesus, saying, "Well,
what's your take?"
Yeah. Well, how do you feel about this?
I love Jesus. I mean, Jesus. He says to Michonne, "Look, I stand with Maggie. I believe what she's doing is right. It's her decision. Yes, I think a grieving wife should see her husband, but look, I don't make the right choices. Not everyone makes the right choices. Not me, not you, not Maggie. But he's kind of saying I stand behind her."
Yeah, and this is when Michonne makes an amazing comment, because she's like, "That's why we need to make rules that allow not just one person to make these choices.
We need to build something that's above
everyone.
Everyone.
Yeah.
So it was great. And even Maggie and Jesus kind of talk, and Maggie automatically knows. She's like, "You probably don't agree with me putting him in prison." And he's like, I do, but
that scene was amazing because what was in the background of that scene? The paintings. Yes.
Yeah.
There was Herschel and Glenn are the ones that I picked up.
Yeah.
There was a couple others that probably the rest of her family.
I think I overlooked it. I saw them, but I didn't pay attention because I was in the scene too much.
Pretty sweet.
I'll have to go back and look.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. But anyway, she goes down, Maggie goes down to visit Earl. And this is where Earl explains, his alcoholism. He was a drunk when his kids were born.
Doesn't remember the first time he saw his son.
Yeah,
he was drunk.
And then there was one moment that changed his life forever, and that was when he was it him that was pulled over?
He picked up his son, like the babysitter was dropping him off, and the babysitter could smell the alcohol, and he, instead of not driving, he said, "Screw it, I'm driving anyway." And then he did pull over to the side of the road because he called Tammy to come get him. Yeah. And he praises Tammy that she stuck by him through all of that.
He thought she was going to leave him.
And then that's when he never took a drink ever again until, Gregory. So
now he's explaining this to Maggie, and Maggie ends up making her decision that we've said. She lets Tammy go down and visit. And furthermore, she actually lets Earl out on supervised supervision
because he's a blacksmith and they need to fix the hoe. I won't say not the hoe, but the farm equipment that was brought back from the museum that was broken.
So not only is she changing her mind about Earl, but she also tells Maggie that she's going to change her mind about the supplies and the fuel
to give them all of it.
Yeah. So and the reason why she does this, it was an awesome throwback to her father. She says, "My father, Herschel, was a drunk as well. Yeah. And if it weren't for him, he made bad decisions, but if it weren't for him, a lot of good people wouldn't be here today."
Exactly. Rip Herschel, rip Scott Wilson.
Yeah.
So, it was a very great moment. I kind of felt that Maggie was going to do it.
Yeah.
You could kind of see that, after talking with Jesus, that she understood that he felt the same way. Like, you gotta you have to, we understand why you did it, but you have to let her see him. And we got a little callback as well to Georgie. Georgie has been sending letters to Maggie, trying to recruit her. Numerous times she keeps sending letters, but she's kind of shrugging it off for now until she gets
got baby
going.
Herschel.
So, yeah, she's got things going. But pretty much the end of the episode again was Rick talking with Negan, telling him that look, we're thriving without you. We don't. And Negan's kind of like again. When am I going to see it? Rick's like,
that's
never.
A great story, Rick. When am I going to see it?
Never.
And he says, it was another badass moment. There were two badass moments, and I just want to go back to the first one real quick. And that is when Rick runs into Justin at the camp and tells Justin, and this is the guy that pushed Henry. This is the guy that screwed up and did not stay for his watch. Tells Justin that because Justin walks by Rick and says, "You need to watch your dog. Keep your dog on a leash." Mm-hmm. And Rick turns up to him and says, "The next time you don't do that, you're gonna basically need medical attention, or you're gonna need to watch out because you be scared shitless of what I'm gonna do to you."
Right. It was brutal. I mean, he was telling him how back in the day he was a cop. He's like, "I know you're kind," and Justin was gonna walk away. He's like, "No, you're gonna stand here and listen to what the fuck I'm saying." But yeah, he's basically saying, "Look, the cuts and bruises you have now,
that's right, yeah.
I will do more."
Yeah.
And then he's like, "You know what? You pack your shit. You get out of here. You have till morning." And Justin's like, I'm leaving now. Screw it. You couldn't pay me to stay here. So I think the end of the episode is Justin walking. We don't know where he was going.
But first, Negan.
Yeah,
right?
we'll go back to Negan real quick.
So basically, the end of this conversation is, Negan insists, hey, when am I going to get to see this? And Rick says, "You're dying in here."
Dying in here. And, that's when Negan's like, "Look, what you're doing, something bad's going to happen soon. And you're just getting this world ready for me." Pretty much is the gist of it. So it was cool. I mean, I think we're going to be seeing, what I've heard, more scenes with Negan later, possibly with Maggie, with him as well. So can't wait to see that.
But Justin.
Yeah, so the end of the episode, Justin is walking. We're assuming he's walking back to the sanctuary or somewhere else.
And this is in first-person view, so it is It is in the view of the attacker.
The view of the attacker. Yeah.
Justin is walking and is surprised to see this individual and is attacked by them.
It's like he's either grabbed out of the shot or there was a weapon that hit him. We couldn't really see because it was so fast, but he recognized the person. Supposedly, he was like, "Oh, what are you doing? You would have been killed or something." It seems like he knew the attacker. Now, when I first saw this, I was like, "Oh, is that going to be a whisperer?"
That's what I thought initially.
Until he recognized the person. Yeah. I don't know if it was Daryl. I doubt it was Henry.
And my whole thing, if it were those two people, is he going to be that friendly right off the bat?
No.
And he wasn't really friendly, but that's not a tone that you take with someone that just literally beat your ass.
Yeah.
And two, embarrassed you in front of your people.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm thinking. I don't think it was Daryl. Definitely not Henry. I'm thinking that there's kind of a savior rebellion going on. They're hiding in the shadows. Maybe it was one of them who was like, "Justin has gotten out of line. He's not doing our plan, like staying quiet until the right moment." So maybe they went after him and killed him.
Or maybe they saved him and got him out of there or something. But I don't necessarily think it was Daryl or Henry. But anyway, we'll save that for the predictions video.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. Thursday, Friday for that?
About Friday.
Okay.
Yeah. So let us know your thoughts, guys, and definitely let us know any questions, Q&A that we'll try doing again. So questions for this episode and the predictions for next episode. Well, I really enjoyed this episode.
I did too. I thought it was great. Let us know what you guys think. If you're new to the channel, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Follow us at NocBro Nation on Facebook and Twitter. I am Josh.
This is Jarrell. We're NocBro Nation.
We're out.